They told me my son was lost in war. Not dead, lost. Like he just vanished. Like maybe he was still out there somewhere, but they couldn't find him. That word, lost, it haunted me. It didn't give me peace and it didn't give me closure. It just left me standing in the middle of a storm with no shelter. I was 28 when they handed me that letter. My boy Daniel was only 21. He'd enlisted because he thought it was his duty. He had that kind of heart, kind, brave, always putting others first. I remember the last time I saw him. He hugged me tight, kissed my cheek, and said, "Don't worry, Mama. I'll be back before you know it." I believed him. I held on to those words like they were a promise from God himself. But he never came back. The army said his unit was ambushed. Most were killed, some were taken. Daniel wasn't found. No body, no dog tags, nothing. Just gone. I waited. I wrote letters to the base, to politicians, to anyone who might have answers. I kept his room exactly the way he left it, his books on the shelf, his favorite jacket hanging on the back of the door, his toothbrush still in the cup. I couldn't let go. Every knock on the door, every phone call, my heart would jump. Maybe it was him. Maybe he found his way home. But year after year, nothing, just silence. I aged. Life went on, but I never really lived. I worked. I smiled when people expected it. But inside, I was always waiting, always listening for footsteps that never came. I'd go to the cemetery sometimes, not because he was buried there, but because I needed to feel close to him. I'd talk to the empty space beside my husband's grave. Daniel's father died 10 years after he disappeared. Heartbroken, I think. I'd sit there and tell them both about my day, about the weather, about how I still make Daniel's favorite soup even though no one eats it. I'd whisper, "Come home, baby. Just come home." Then 40 years passed. 40 years of grief, of hope, of quiet desperation. I was walking back from the grocery store one cold afternoon, the kind where the wind bites your cheeks and the sky is heavy with clouds. I turned the corner near the old bus stop, and I saw him, just standing there, looking at a map. His hair was gray, his face lined, but I knew him. I knew him. It was like my heart stopped and then started again, faster than it ever had. My hands began to shake. I dropped my bag. A can of beans rolled into the gutter, but I didn't care. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It was him, my Daniel. I took a step, then another. My legs felt like they were made of stone. I got closer. He looked up. Our eyes met, and for a second, I saw it. The same softness in his eyes, the same little crinkle at the corner when he was confused. "Ma?" he said. Just that. One word. But it broke me. I fell to my knees right there on the sidewalk. People stared. Someone gasped, but I didn't care. I reached for him, sobbing, "Daniel, my boy, is it really you?" He dropped the map and ran to me. He held me like he was holding me for the first time in 40 years, because he was. He was crying too. We were both broken, shaking, clinging to each other like we'd drown if we let go. He told me everything. How he was captured, how he spent 2 years in a prison camp, beaten, starved, forgotten, how he escaped during a bombing, wandered for days, was found by a village far from the front lines. They took him in. He couldn't remember his name at first. The trauma, the fever, it stole his memories. He lived there for years, slowly healing, slowly remembering. By the time he got his name back, the war was over. Records were lost. No one came for him. He thought we were gone. He thought I was gone. He spent decades trying to find us, but our old house was sold, our phone disconnected, everything gone. He believed I'd given up on him, that I thought he was dead. Hearing that tore me apart. "I never gave up," I whispered. "Not one day. Not 1 second." He cried harder then, like a child. We sat on that sidewalk for I don't know how long, holding each other, catching up in broken sentences and tears. He told me about the village, about the woman who raised him like a son, about how he finally came back to the States last month, searching for any trace of his past. And by some miracle, he ended up in my town. We went home together. I made him tea. I kept touching his arm, his hand, just to make sure he was real. He looked around the house, tears in his eyes when he saw his room. He said, "You kept it." I nodded. "I never stopped believing you'd come back." He sat on his old bed and held his childhood teddy bear. He laughed through tears. He said, "Mr. Buttons, I used to talk to you when I was scared." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept getting up to check on him, to make sure he was still there. He was. He's still here. He's staying. We're rebuilding. It's not the same. How could it be? 40 years is a lifetime. But he's home. And I finally feel like I can breathe again. Sometimes when I look at him, I still see the 21-year-old boy who left for war, but I also see the man who survived hell and found his way back to me. And every morning when I see him at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, reading the paper, I say a quiet thank you, not just for the miracle of him being alive, but for the miracle of time. We don't have all the years we lost, but we have now. And now is enough.